We are out here with a group of people from the UK YCC. There's 7 of us in total, kind of rolling over, and we're out here to engage with negotiators, to send information back home, to learn a lot. I think it's very important as well, and to especially engage in the new ideas that are rising around equity here for the next 2 weeks. Well, that's what we're hoping for anyways, and actions, obviously.
Yes, so what sort of actions have you already done? And
we've been involved quite strongly with the YoungGo, which is the young NGOs involved in the UN negotiations, and out of that we participated in an action organised by some German young people where we had a marriage ceremony between science and politics, asking for negotiators to really realise the urgency of taking decisive action that's in line with the science and not getting involved in kind of political squabbles that we were worried about seeing.
And how are you engaging what you're doing out here with the youth back home in the UK?
We're struggling slightly, if we're being honest. It's really difficult because it's such a whirlwind, but we're trying to use as many different platforms as possible, so we're doing a lot of tweeting. We're getting slightly competitive about it.
And making friends here through different tweeting.
Which is really cool.
Wow.
It's a really nice community way of talking to different people. We've just done a video, and we're trying to do like regular video, short updates. Louisa's just written a blog. Lots of different things, just trying to keep in touch. It's quite hard to do though, if we're being honest, but it's definitely worth doing, and it's a really important part of the negotiations is the fact that it brings light to the topic and starts talking about climate change all across the world, all through our networks. And so, yes, we're trying our very best to get that message home.
And do you think the youth in the UK are engaged in this topic?
I think what I've realised is just how huge the topic is. I mean, this is my first time here at a UN climate conference, and there are so many issues being talked about, and I think a lot of people are interested in these topics without realising that they're engaged in a UN process, because I think it can seem to the outside world very slow and very difficult to engage because they're all this jargon. We found ourselves using these acronyms that a week ago we didn't know.
Yeah.
So we found it easy with the training provided by the UK YCC and the support we've had from people to learn a lot about the process. So that's really what we'd like to focus on, is just making it accessible to people, because these are the issues that affect us, and particularly as young people that are going to affect us throughout the rest of our lives. So it's really important that it's made accessible to people.
Yeah. And I would say, like, generally I think in the UK young people are very up to date on climate change. Very, I mean, relative term, but I think we do have really good school education, and I think you'd struggle to find a young person that didn't believe in climate change, which kind of shows that it is quite progressive. But then actually taking that from just a school education thing into the real world is a challenge, and I think we've got an opportunity when we're here to try and like bring it back into the real world. And I was speaking to a friend of mine, and I was saying, yeah, I made an intervention on the Kyoto Protocol. I first learned about the Kyoto Protocol in my geography class 10 years ago. It's crazy, and I think bringing those things together and showing that it's a real situation, it's not just something at school, is really important. We've got a good opportunity to do that.
And what do you think the youth bring to the process as well?
I think we can bring a lot in terms of communicating the issues, because we don't come with this kind of knowledge that's been going on for 20 years. That's been our whole lifetimes. So actually we come with kind of new perspectives, new ways of looking at things and of taking the world, and therefore we're useful in diffusing a different way of looking at it, simplifying it and thinking, these are the core principles. Why is everyone talking about equity? Do we not believe fairness should be central to this anyway? So I think we can bring a freshness and a vitality to the negotiations.
I think we also bring in accountability, like an awareness to the negotiators. We are listening, we are here, like don't you dare do anything really annoying because we are going to call you up on it. So sometimes it doesn't necessarily directly correlate, we'll do something and it produces a direct outcome, but I think it would be a very different set of negotiations if you didn't have youth and you didn't have civil society here. So
I think there's also another level in terms of with our YoungGo meetings of we're connecting with young people from around the world. It's not just that negotiators are coming from across the world to talk. We've got our whole set of kind of the conversations and the dialogue we're having, which is much more open, and it's such an interesting and inspiring range of ideas being shared and ways of working as well, which are really positive.
yeah.
And coming back to Bonn specifically, we've got another week left. What do you think needs to have happened by the end of that to move us forward before Dover?
I think because there's a lot of talk about equity, because we've got this new Durban platform, there is a risk that it will just become a discussion about the meaning and the interpretation of this. What we really want to see and what we believe is that equity can be very useful in terms of enabling ambition from across the whole world and creating a global deal that everyone is happy with. and therefore it should be something that pushes towards urgent practical action rather than necessarily a long consideration and lots more talks with national interests placed above the global interest, which is that we need to take action now.
Yeah, it's not a sort of full stop to equity, but it's a real, this is what it is, and so we can move forward, so we can actually use that as a tool rather than another smokescreen to look through. So I think it's really important that we have discussions equity, but by the end of Bonn, I really hope that we're in a position where we are actually moving forward as opposed to just allowing it to be a smokescreen. And I think that's something that the youth have the real responsibility to kind of keep tabs on, and we'll do our very best to move that forward. But I mean, who knows? We've got a week and a half, so we'll see what happens.